Unfortunately, it doesn't matter how good your product or your business is. If your visuals are not up to par, it's going to reflect poorly on you and your business. And the sad thing is I see this all the time where there's small businesses run by really good people who have a really great product. But the sad thing is their social media and the videos and images on there are simply not very professional, and that unfortunately reflects poorly to potential customers who are viewing their social media, because at the end of the day, social media is essentially the face of your company nowadays. So welcome back to Quick Ass Marketing. My name is Liam, and my job is to simplify small business marketing so that you can be successful. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please subscribe because that helps me out tremendously, and then you'll be able to see all the videos that I'm posting on small business marketing. So this past week, I was hired by 173 Craft Distillery out of Iowa to create this product video commercial for them that you're gonna see here in just a second. And I thought I would use the filming experience to create a video on 5 tips to level up your product videography, because although a lot of the stuff that I use in this video looks really hard and really professional, it's honestly pretty simple, and some of it doesn't even require editing, which is what I'm gonna be focusing on today, because I know that the average entrepreneur and business owner is not a video editor, so we're not gonna be focusing on that. So beyond the basic stuff that you can do already on your phone with your phone's video editor, we won't be going any deeper than that. Now I've actually got 2 bonus tips at the end, guys, so make sure you stick around for that. I didn't want to call this video 7 tips, so I kind of made 2 bonus tips, and I'm going to stick those on at the end, so make sure you stick around for those. So this product video that I made is obviously for a distillery, so it's going to be alcoholic beverages. However, this will work with all product videos. So the tips I'm giving you are not specific to beverages or glass bottles or anything like that. These are going to work for every product out there. So real quick, I'll play the finished video for you so you can see it, and then we're going to pick 5 things from that video to focus on so that you can translate it into your own product videos.
Perfection doesn't happen by chance. It's crafted through careful calculation. At 173 Craft Distillery, our love of science and our desire to craft the highest quality spirits brings perfection to every drop. Whether it's our volumetric vodka or gin, our broken beaker rum, or our 173 bourbon, you can always count on a perfectly crafted pour that exceeds expectations.
All right, so tip number 1 is going to be invest in a turntable. These are super affordable. The particular one that you see in this video was only $55. I'll go ahead and leave a link to it in the description. Obviously, this is a small channel. It's not an affiliate link, but I'll put it there just for your convenience. This tip alone will level up your product videography tremendously. So these first 2 shots, you'll notice the product is spinning, and I did that with my turntable. Now it looks like this is slow motion footage, but it's really just the turntable spinning very slowly. It's super simple because you have a remote control, you can stop it and start it and keep it the same speed. And you're also gonna notice one of the shots at the end that I got where the bottle is spinning and changing. There's really no editing in that besides just speeding up the video at certain parts. It's literally just a hard cut when the bottle is facing away from you. And the way that I got that shot was simply by having the turntable and the bottles all in the same spot. And I just did a hard cut when the bottle was turned away to make it look like that. All right, so this second shot here where it's really, really dramatic. Obviously not everybody is going to want that style of video. It's not gonna fit with every single product. However, you don't have to have a black background and have super dramatic lighting like this if you don't want to. However, the way I did this was I literally just handheld a light and swiped it across the screen, across the product, as the product was spinning around. So this is not sped up or slowed down at all. There's literally no editing besides a very small amount of color correction, which you don't even have to do. So to get this style of product video, you literally would just need a turntable and some basic lights. So we're gonna go into that next. So step number 2 is gonna be to control your light. Now I know that sounds a little bit vague, but generally speaking, I will almost always shoot my product videos inside because I can control the light. Now, if you don't have studio lights, that's totally fine. You can use a window, especially on an overcast day. They'll work really, really great as a key light, which is your main light. And there's lots of YouTube videos out there on lighting product videos, so I'm not going to go too deep into it here, but I like to use what they call a 3-light setup, which is going to be your key light, which is your strongest source of light, at about a 45-degree angle usually. And I'll usually use a backlight or a top light to kind of give a nice ring around the product or help define the product more. And then I'll sometimes do a fill light if I feel like I need to fill in the other side of the product if I don't want it to be as dramatic. But one quick thing I will say is if you are going to film outside, let's say that your product has to do with the outdoors, or maybe the name of the product has to do with the outdoors, so you want it to be outdoors. What you can do is when you're filming outside, I would always recommend going out around what they call golden hour. So it's going to be when the sun is starting to set, and backlight your product. When you backlight your product with the sun is essentially acting as a rim light or a backlight like you would do in the studio. But you're gonna get those nice lens flares from the sun, which looks really professional. So if you are gonna shoot outside, I'd recommend going that route. However, for the majority of product videos, I'd really recommend shooting inside. That way you can control your light. And that leads me into step number 3, which is going to be to properly diffuse your lights, okay? So you can literally use paper towel to do this. You don't have to have any fancy lighting setups if you don't want, but this right here in the frame, this ugly thing right here is actually a diffuser that I ripped off of one of my lights. So it's essentially just a kind of semi-transparent piece of white cloth that will just diffuse and soften the light. And one of the biggest issues I see with product videography when it comes to amateur product videography is that there'll be really harsh hot spots, which is where the light is just really, really bright and you can't see anything underneath it. You'll have hot spots on the label. So the label's kind of blocked by the light, or the light is in the right spot, but it's just really, really harsh and there's lens flares. It's not a nice soft light. So even if you're using paper towels, that's totally fine. Just layer up some paper towels, but whatever light source you have, try to diffuse it so it's not as harsh. All right, so step number 4, I really like this. This is more of a creative decision, but I think using set pieces is really, really great. So in this video, I used one set piece. 173 Craft Distillery, their theme is science. And so they actually sent me some graduated cylinders and things like that that you can see in the product video. And so anything that you can have, let's say that you're a coffee shop, having some beans, like some coffee beans in the foreground out of focus will look really, really professional. Just kind of take your product videos to the next level. So obviously you're gonna have to answer that question for yourself to determine, you know, which set pieces would actually be relevant for your product. But if you had like a beauty product that had charcoal in it, for instance, getting actual pieces of charcoal in the product video would be pretty cool. So I think using relevant set pieces for your product just kind of takes it to that next level and really helps it out. So step number 5 is going to be separate your background from your product. So the background that you see in every single one of these shots is actually a sheet from Walmart. It's this right here. It's this black sheet from Walmart. And the table that it's sitting on is literally covered with the other fitted sheet from that same set. So you don't have to have fancy backdrops, and you can also buy them super cheap on Amazon if you want. But the way that I got it to look pitch black was simply by separating the product from the background. So the product in this video was about 6 feet or so in front of the background. So what that's gonna do is it's gonna, in theory, make the background more blurry and out of focus and highlight your product a little bit better. Now, the further away you can get, the better. So 6 feet is about what I had. But it's a small office that I'm filming in. So ideally you want to do even more than that if you can. All right, so for our first bonus tip that I promised you, use an external monitor for your focus. So what I mean by this is if you're shooting on a DSLR, it does not have to be a nice one. It can be a really cheap one. Almost all of them will have some sort of plug, like a mini HDMI that you can cast to an external monitor. Now this is something I didn't learn until a little bit later on in my product videography journey. However, I was having a lot of issues where on that little screen, it looked like it was in focus, but in reality, it wasn't. It was just a little bit out of focus, and I didn't realize that until I got into the editing software. So what I would recommend doing, and it's helped me out a ton, is switch to manual focus and don't rely on autofocus, and cast it to a larger screen. So I have, I believe, 27-inch monitors here, so they're not super huge screens, but you could also use a TV if you wanted. And that way you have a big picture of your product, and you can see that it's perfectly in focus. All right, so the last bonus tip is going to be to use either a black or white poster board or sheet, and then some acrylic on top of that. That's going to create a really cool reflection for your product. If you want it to be a little bit more dramatic and you want that reflection to be a little bit harsher or more prominent, then use black underneath. If you want it to be softer, then use white. And this is a super simple way that most people will get that reflection on the bottom. The other option is to use actual colored acrylic. You can do that as well. Or you can, I've even seen colored glass or glass that's painted on the back side at places like Hobby Lobby. So that's all the tips that I've got for you guys. Thank you for watching and sticking around this long. I'll see you next time.